Hello, I'm going to talk about some more of my experiences. And I'll talk about my experience on Ibogaine. I didn't have any contact with the beings, um, but I definitely had some cool stuff happen. Um, it was not fun, though. I did Ibogaine. A friend of mine got it shipped in from Africa. Somehow, I don't know how he got it. And this was during the time when the whole Ebola outbreak was going on. So, like when during my trip, I was convinced that, that I had Ebola and I was dying. So that wasn't fun. But the trip lasted about 2 days, and my friend had a great time. He had a wonderful time. We weren't together in the trip. I was at my house. He was at his house. Um, but it was 2 days of hell for me. I remember it first started to come up, and I was laying in my bed, and I heard like this rattling, like shakers, like and it sounded like the African music that the tribes that use this medicine would play. And then I had a vision. It was weird. You know how like on a machine gun, the bullets they're all lined up, and it goes like and they're all going up and shooting out on the big belt of bullets. I had a vision of like a bunch of African um, natives, and I felt very sad for them. And they were all in a line, like a belt, like they were in some kind of like machine going through it. And then it was like bullets, like they would go through, and they would all be getting executed by this like machine. It was weird. Um, and then I had some, I guess you would call them past life visions, experiences. There was this really intense one, and I would say it was like in the future. I was this little girl. I was probably about, I'm gonna say like 5 years old. I was a little girl, and it was my birthday, and I was sitting at a table, and my family was all around me. And the inside of our home, it was weird. It was like a pink bubble, like an actual bubble. Like it looked like a bubble, the reflectiveness, but it was like pink inside. It was like some like house from like another universe or in the future or something, or another planet. And I had my family around me, and I was so happy. It was my birthday, and I 100% felt like I was this little girl, and I 100% felt like I knew my family and I loved them. Um, and then after my birthday, it went to like this scene where it was just like doom and Holocaust and war, and I lost my whole family, and I felt what this little girl felt. I was and like so much doom and despair. It was so depressing. It was like an infinite well of just like depression and doom. It was awful. Um, what other? I just saw some more war. I know there were some other past life where I was like these characters. I can't really remember it though. At one point, as clear as you see this reality, I had an Islamic woman on the corner of my bed, at the foot of my bed, and she was in a hijab, just standing at the edge of my bed. And when I looked at her, her hijab started to like unveil, and it went in and sucked in my vision, and then it unwrapped, and it was in a war scene, and there were tanks, buildings getting blown up, and again, just another thing of despair. I felt like it was like Iraq or something, but it was horrible. Um, and then at this one point, I remember it was very weird. There was this pink tissue, like floating in front of my face. I opened my eyes, and there was a pink tissue floating in the air. Not like a paper tissue. I mean, like, it looked like muscle tissue, but it wasn't. It was similar to that, but it was different. And it was just floating in the air. That was weird, and it was pretty cool to see just how realistic it was right in front of my face. Same with the Islamic woman. So yeah, that was the Ibogaine trip. My friend had a wonderful time. Horrible for me. I couldn't walk. I felt like a big bag of sand, and I was super dizzy. And also during that time, I found out that my sister had cancer. So that might be why I had a bad trip. And luckily, she did survive. But after that trip, I was depressed for like a good week. And I remember the next day, I was sitting in the room and the TV was on, and this old black and white video of a Nazi like slapping this old Jewish woman, and I just started crying, like, because I felt so connected to their suffering and their pain. I don't know why that whole trip was on suffering and all that, but it was horrible. It was literally hell. Like, and when I was in that like infinite thing of despair, it was awful. But even there, God is still there. Your consciousness is still there. You know, you can't die. Everything passes. Even all the good passes. The bad will pass into good, and the good will pass into bad, and it will go on for eternity, forever. There is no happy ending, and there is no bad ending. There is no end. You know, you will always exist. Just imagine not existing. It makes no fucking sense. I mean, what the fuck would non-existence be? Say all forms of beings were dead. There are no conscious beings left in this universe. But there's planets. Say there's still planets left. Well, you can't have planets without some sort of, consciousness to allow them to be. Because without consciousness, there is no allowance of being. There's no consciousness, and there's just a speck of dirt. But what would be allowing that dirt to be? There would have to be some sort of, awareness to allow it to exist. Do you see what I mean? Because, there would have to be some sort of a sense, like, if, like, there would have to be some kind of consciousness. I don't know if you know what I mean, but there would have to be. Nothing makes, when you say nothing, it makes no sense. It doesn't exist. And some people will say, well, what do you mean what happens when you pass out or you go to sleep? Where does consciousness go then? Well, it's got to be there, or you wouldn't know that you passed down, or you wouldn't know that you were asleep. You want to be aware of it at all, but you are aware that you were asleep. There is a very subtle feeling there. But you're invincible. There's nothing to fear. And the main thing these beings always tell me is to, follow your heart and be yourself 100%. Even if it does lead to doom and despair, it will all pass. You are infinite and you are invincible. You are God. There's nothing to fear. If you follow your heart, you will be content. If you don't follow your heart, you're going to suffer for your whole life. Your whole life, that there's going to be that little chatter in your head saying, you should have done it. You should have followed your heart. You should have done what you want. When they interview old people and they say, what are some of your biggest regrets? Just about all of them are going to say, I should have done the things that I wanted to do. I wasted my whole life. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be that kind of person. And follow your heart, even if it leads you to prison. Even if you go to prison, follow your heart. Because it's not about being a millionaire or something like that. It's about fully developing the character that you're supposed to be in this matrix. And following your heart is the way to break out of the matrix. That is the way to freedom. And we have different little things that try to hold us back. Even family can be uh, a trap in the matrix. That's probably my biggest problem. I don't fear death at all. I have no fear of death. My fears are, my family and my family's view of me and my child, which, you got to take care of your child. Um, but I don't think I show myself enough love in that area because I let these things mess with me and keep me from doing the things I want to do. And I know it to be true that you can do anything you want. I 100% know these beings were real that I spoke to. And I truly believe they were good. I don't think they were evil. I don't think they're trying to deceive me into, fucking my life up. Um, but, as long as you go against fear, you can come to the realization that you are God. As long as you follow your heart. And you can do anything. This year, I want to, and I like to tell y'all so I have someone to, like, kind of hold me to it, hold me to an expectation. Because if you talk about it, you're like, oh, well, now I got to do it now because I've told everybody. This year, I do want to force myself into following my heart more. I want to do some traveling this year. I want to make more videos, but I want to do like documentaries. I want to do short documentaries. I want to travel. I'm going to try to travel maybe to like Peru or something this year and trip with some like shamans or something and document that and document the way they live and document their wisdom. I want all the videos to be stuff like that, exploring our consciousness. That truly is, uh, that's my heart. That's all I'm interested in ever since this experience, because it changed my life so much. The way I view everything. I was atheist, and anybody who talked about this sort of thing, I thought they were stupid or crazy or a liar looking for attention. That's not true at all. I'm not a liar. I know I'm not crazy. I'm not trying to get any kind of attention out of this. Um, I know these beings were real, and I love this experience so much. I want to share it with everyone, and I hope everyone can have this experience sometimes. And one of my future videos, I'll probably, y'all let me know if y'all want me to do it. It sounds kind of boring to me, but I thought it might be interesting. I want to read the messages that I have on Messenger from people who have experienced similar experiences. In my Messenger, I probably have like 10 different people and their stories. I got a guy who talks to them. He says he talks to them every day. And he's a DMT connect as well. He told me that he can find some. I trust him. Uh, I might try to hit him up on that soon. But he said he talks to them every day after an acid trip. He had an acid trip, and now he talks to them every day. And I was like, you don't go crazy? I would think that you would go, fucking insane with that happening every day. And he said, no, it's the best thing that's ever happened to him. And the beings do nothing but tell him positive things, and they guide him. I met another guy who was at like a festival, and some random guy started telling him about the simulation and how he's God, and then he like shifted back to this reality, and then the guy was like, the guy knew nothing. He was like, what are you talking about? Like, the guy thought he was nuts because I don't know. He just thought he was crazy, but apparently the guy was not saying anything about simulation. But it's so real. There's no way your mind is making this up. You hear the words audibly, 100%. It's so real. I know it's not bullshit. I know it's not. And another thing I don't think I mentioned in my videos, I was thinking about it today. Um, the first time these beings contacted me, the Dave Chappelle thing, well, I realize now that they had tried to contact me before. It was my girlfriend's first acid trip, her only acid trip. She's only done it once. And we were in the car, in my sister's car. She was driving us around, and a song came on, and it was trying to talk to me and my girlfriend. My girlfriend heard it, and she was like, "What? Huh? What?" And I didn't realize. I guess it was speaking to her more than it was me, and I didn't realize what was going on then. Um, I forgot about that, and I guarantee you, if I mention it to my girlfriend, I haven't. She would act like she doesn't remember. Last night, I mentioned to her about the voices that came in my chest, and about a week after that trip, I mentioned it to her, and she remembered it. And she was like, "Yeah, that was crazy." I mentioned it to her last night. She has no fucking idea what I'm talking about. It's nuts. Um, for whatever reason, this thing is very good at giving people amnesia, or maybe we're hopping in different universes or something, and these are different forms of our friends and relatives. Um, but one thing my girlfriend does remember, I don't think I mentioned this, uh, was when we were tripping on her first and only trip. We were downtown, and we kept seeing this girl and boy go by on scooters, like kick scooters, like child scooters, not one with a motor. And we would see them everywhere. We were like, that's weird. And then at one point we were walking by the river, and there were cats running all over the place. It was an insane amount of cats. So we experienced that together. And then the most crazy part of that trip was we were by the river, and there's a building behind us. It's like a place where they have parties and balls and stuff. And outside there's all these like people dressed up in like gowns and suits, and there's these black SUVs like taking photos of the people like paparazzi. It was crazy. And then and so we the place is all glass windows, and we see tons of people in the place having a party, like 200 people probably, all in the building. And then we see this couple, this gay couple, going in, but they were wearing the same suits that and my girlfriend don't remember the suits, but that's one reason I started laughing. They were wearing the same suits as Dumb and Dumber, the orange and the blue one, and they were like going hand in hand into the building, and they looked like cardboard cutouts, and it just looked so ridiculous. For whatever reason, it was so fucking funny, and we started laughing so hard we couldn't stop laughing. So we turn around laughing, and we turn back toward the river laughing, and then we turn back around at the same time, and all the people are gone. 200 people in the building, all gone, all of them, and even the trucks were gone. And we're like, what the fuck happened? Like, we could not comprehend what the fuck happened. And it literally was only, we turned maybe 3 seconds, and then we start talking again for just a couple more seconds, not very long, and we turn back toward the river again, and then we turn back around. Boom, everybody is back. The party's going on. I don't remember if the trucks were back outside taking photos, but everybody in the party was back. It was insane. On my next trip, I'm gonna try to work with telepathy and all that. Please let me know your experiences with electronics and telepathy if you have any of those experiences. I really want to hear about those. Very interested. All right, thanks for listening. I gotta go.